I've been running an online business since 2008. Before that, I was into blogging. I tried other things, but I've been fully self-employed as an online creative since 2010. It's simultaneously the best thing that has ever happened to me and a really big challenge. Perhaps that's true of everything in life. And I've been feeling a bit burnt out lately. I've been putting myself and my life out there online for a really long time. And the older I get, the less I want to do that. But the more I'm going to have to if I want to stay relevant and compete. It's a bit of a catch-22. I've even considered a job, which, if you know me, you'll know is really not probably a very good idea. I don't do well being told what to do. So I was talking to my dad about this recently and about this feeling of, wanting to put less of myself out there. And he said something really profound. And this is what he said. Jess, to make a living, you've either got to work for the man or you've got to work for the masses. Those are your two options. And you know what? He's right. For those of us who want this independent, self-directed, entrepreneurial lifestyle, we don't really have a choice. I mean, yes, there are boring businesses, there are offline businesses, there are other businesses I could run, but none of them would give me the freedom and flexibility that having an online business does. I don't want a brick and mortar location. I don't want physical business assets. I don't want staff that I have to manage. Ugh. I've deliberately kept my business small and nimble so that I have as much freedom as possible. And that freedom comes with a price. And that price is turning myself into a commodity. So if you are unsure which way you want to go, if you want to work for the man or work for the masses, let's break it down. The pros and cons of working for the man. Let's start with the pros of having a job. Pro number one, stable income. You've got a salary, probably, or at least you know what your hours are going to be and you can calculate what you're going to be earning from that. This allows you to have financial stability and predictability, which in this current economic climate is not a bad thing. You get access to benefits potentially. Now in Australia, this is not really a big deal. We have free medical care and all that sort of jazz. But if you're in somewhere like the United States, this might be a really big thing to you. You might need that job in order to have the medical benefits and insurance. And without having a job, it might cost you a lot to get this. With a job, you've got a structured environment. You have a boss. You have somebody who's given you an outline and said, here, this is what's your responsibility. Go do this. And who follows up with you and keeps you accountable. You have clear roles, clear responsibilities. You have someone to hold your hand or at least to tell you when you've screwed up. And it's incumbent on you not to screw up or you might lose your job. Your work-life balance is maybe, depending on where you are and the sort of job you have, better because there's a clear separation between work and life. Now, I know this is not quite the case that it used to be, especially if you have a white-collar job or you work from home. But generally speaking, you do get a little bit more separation here. You can kind of close the laptop at the end of the day and walk away from work, hopefully, a little bit more easily than someone who is an entrepreneur and self-employed. There is a lot less risk in having a job than running a business, financially and potentially emotionally and many other ways. And when you have a job, you probably have a lot more opportunity for mentorship and professional development that those of us who are self-employed have to find for ourselves. The cons of working for the man. You've got limited autonomy. You can't control your hours. You can't control your tasks. They're designated to you by somebody else, or your schedule. You probably have people telling you have to be at X meeting at Y time. You have an income cap. You probably have hourly pay rate or a salary, or maybe you get overtime, but there really is generally a limit to how much you can earn in your job, no matter how hard you work. Your job might lack security. Like, a lot of people talk about this as a pro when it comes to having a job, and I actually think it's a con because you are not in charge of whether you have that job or not. Someone else is in charge of whether you have that job or not. You have limited creativity to control what you do and how you do it. You don't have a lot of flexibility and time in most jobs to pursue your own creative passions. You have to put up with office politics and work with other people. For a lot of us, this is one of the really big cons of having to have a job. Navigating workplace dynamics and hierarchies can be really stressful. And finally, a lack of passion. You just might not care very much about your job. And having to spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week doing something you really don't care about doesn't strike me as the best way to live your life. All right, so let's talk about working for the masses. The pros: you have complete autonomy over what you do, when you do it, how you do it. It's all up to you. You have unlimited income potential. There is no cap on how much you can make. You can expand your business, grow it in any direction you want, and you can do whatever you want to make money in your business. There is unlimited potential for growth. Your earnings potential is directly tied to the success of your products, your content, and your brand. You can follow your passion and your purpose. You can do something that you really care about and make money out of it. You can make sure that the work you do aligns with your personal values, core beliefs, and goals in life. You have complete flexibility to build a business that aligns with your lifestyle and the way that you want to live. There's no two businesses that are going to be exactly the same because everybody's different and everybody wants something different. The way I run my business may be completely different to the way you run yours, even if we're in the same field, because we have different priorities and different lifestyle values. Your business, very much like your income, has scalability. Yes, it does to a certain extent depend on the sort of business you have. My handmade business is way less scalable than my online education business. My handmade business does have a sort of a cap there unless I want to expand and hire people to help me with it. Whereas my online education business, it doesn't matter how many members I get in my membership community or how many people sign up to my course, I'm pretty much doing the same amount of work. And working for the masses allows you to build a personal brand that you can leverage in order to perhaps go in multiple different directions and follow your passions. The cons: financial risk. You have to take the risk and all of that financial burden is on you. This is probably one of the most stressful parts of having your own business and being fully self-employed. Being the sole breadwinner is hard. Knowing that your ability to make a living is directly tied to the amount of work you put in and your creativity can be pretty challenging. And especially in the beginning, you might not have a lot of capital to work with. This is why I'm a big fan of saying start your business on the side while you still have a job and make sure your business is viable before you dive into it full time. Your work-life balance can not balance, that is. It's really easy to blur everything together and be in work mode from the moment you wake up to the moment you hopefully fall asleep. I certainly fell into this trap early in my business. Probably for the first few years, I was kind of obsessive about it. Side note, being obsessive about it for a short period of time can actually be helpful in growing the business, but it is not a long-term strategy if you want to have any sort of a life. So irregular hours can really blur those lines, and you have to be the sort of person who can put those boundaries in place for yourself and stick to them. Otherwise, you'll never get past this issue. You are responsible for everything all the time. The buck stops with you. And this is exhilarating and terrifying in equal measure. You have to manage the finances, you have to manage the operations, you have to manage inventory, you have to come up with the creative ideas, you have to implement the creative ideas. It's all your responsibility. You can have really inconsistent income, and this can be a problem if you have consistent bills, which most of us do. And you need to have some sort of plan to deal with this, whether that is some sort of savings buffer, whether that is you go get a part-time job if necessary. Whatever it might be, this is a real risk when it comes to business, is not having a stable income. This is why I am a big fan of having some sort of ongoing subscription-based offer, like a membership, because you do then have some sort of consistency to your income. It's very stress relieving to have that. It's really isolating to work alone. You are often by yourself most, if not all of the time. Now, I have the benefit of my husband working with me in the business. He's always around. For some of you, that might not be a pro, but for us, it works well, and we work well together, and we have our defined roles. And it's very much a whole of life approach that we take. We have certain things are certain person's responsibility, whether that's home things or business things. There's not really a big distinction between the two because we both work in both spheres. But long story short, I'm in charge of the business and he's in charge of everything else. But seriously, if isolation is a problem, if you're an extrovert, you need to work out ways around this. And there are ways around it to a certain extent. You could create a little pod of people. You could co-work. You could join a community like my membership, the Thriver Circle, so you have other people to bounce ideas off and just commiserate with. Join Facebook groups, forums, whatever it might be, to get some sense of community and support there. And finally, and this might be a pro for some of you, but it is a con for a lot of people, is you need to be self-motivated and you need to be intrinsically motivated. Gretchen Rubin came up with this great rubric idea of these different types of personalities, and she talks about the difference between people who are externally motivated, who are the obligers, and the people who are internally motivated. And if you are an externally motivated person, you are going to find self-employment really difficult because there is nobody there telling you when things are due, what you have to do, or anything at all. It's all on your shoulders, and it's all down to you to motivate and organize yourself. You have to be disciplined, you have to have excellent management skills, and you have to have excellent motivation. Otherwise, you will never get anywhere and your business won't survive. So, what do you want to do? Work for the man or work for the masses? Let me know in the comments below. I know for me, looking at these pros and cons, it's kind of a no-brainer as to which way I want to go. Or should I say, which way I want to continue to go into the future. And if working for the masses is the way you want to go, you might want to check out this video on the super boring secret of success. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.